Hi everybody. In today's lesson, we're going to go to the next step. So we looked at a straight side front view, straight side view. So now we're graduating to a dimensional view. So I picked a very simple character and one that you may all be familiar with. So not something of my creation, something that that's professional and out there. Simple, but I thought was a good example for dimension. Full 3/4 dimensional character. And we've been looking at the various views using squares for the most part. So I thought, here's a great character to go to dimension with pretty basic square shape. Okay. So what I'm going to do is kind of start with that kind of square shape here. Then what I'm going to create the side, the depth. So the character is primarily this sort of square. And I might even bring that down a bit here. Yeah, that's what our blue's for, to help find things. So what I've done here is you can see I've got an angle here and an angle here. Meaning that we have a horizon line going through here, and this side is tapering off into a vanishing point that's way over here somewhere. Okay, so that's all part of depth, and it's particularly working with a rectangular square sort of shape here. Okay. So what I want to do is, if I'm looking around here, I'm going to divide this up a bit, and hopefully this all comes clear as we move forward. Again, I recommend watch the video all the way through and then tackle your drawing. This one is definitely a follow along, and it's replication, but also getting a good idea of the shape, perspective, and structure of the character. Okay, so I'm going to try and figure out dimension and placement. I'm going to have 2 circles up here. And within those circles, there's going to be a circle and a circle within that. And the same with here. So you may start to see who the character is, who we're going to be taking care of here in dimension. And again, having a dimensional square or cube sort of shape, may give everything away here that we're... Okay, so here I'm putting a shape of a cheek in here, and I'm putting a line in here because the mouth is going to be open. I'm going to try and get this across here. So yeah, you can start to see him come together. It is SpongeBob SquarePants. So that helps with our whole cube idea, and from the squares that we've been working on. Going to have teeth. He's only got 2 upper teeth with quite the gap in between. And it's just looking at proportions, trying to get the character on model and looking the way he's supposed to. In this particular pose and drawing, he has his mouth wide open. We have inside the mouth, we can see the tongue, and we can have a little bit indication of the lower lip here. And because he is a sponge, we have some little holes in here that make up the sponge. There we go. So that's looking pretty good. I might bring this line in a little bit. So again, this division here. So I'm bringing these lines in. He has a little tie, little regular tie here, and little triangles here for the collar. And then there's the line across here. So this is dimensionally going back. This line again following out towards where that vanishing point would be. And there is indications of a belt going through belt hoops, holding those square pants up, and one going off in this direction. Okay. So what we haven't done here is that we've got kind of a squiggly line here showing that he is a sponge, and it has an irregular shape here. And the same with down here. I can get this kind of working. Now what we got to do is arms, and then we'll get down to legs and feet. Okay, so we have a shoulder. It's kind of got short sleeves. So the way this works in dimension on the sleeve, there's a ellipse, because if you look straight up into this sleeve, it's a circle. So down in this angle, it is an ellipse, and then inside we have the arm coming down, and then we have this palm of the hand that we used as a square, but here it's just like the body. It's a cube sort of shape. So we've got the palm, and then we've got this thumb coming out, and then we got the curve of fingers. And then that comes out and connects. So again, I always like drawing light and then get darker as I'm pretty confident of where things are going. So let's see. So I'm going to kind of determine this line here and commit to it. Again, like going darker as I find that line and happy with it. And again, we got more sponge holes here. And again, we can just reinforce that dimension, put a little shadow on this side, as if there's a light source. These holes are kind of darker. Again, we're not looking at color right now. We're just using line to get the ideas across. We'll get the color as we move forward. Well, let me see. So here is that line here. Yeah, we can get that happening there. Okay. Now the other arm comes out. It's going to come out over here. This one, the arm's coming forward. So we have an ellipse going this way, and then that sleeve coming out. So it's still an ellipse. Again, if we were straight on, it would be circular. Because we're at 3/4 view, we can see kind of inside the sleeve. But here, I'm going to have an opening here, and we're going to have that arm coming out, and then coming off in an angle here at the elbow. Then we're going to have that rectangular cube. And what we're going to do here is I'm going to bring that thumb around this way and bring that in. Then here, I'm going to bring this up, and then that finger is folded over. We have another finger here folded over onto the palm, and then he's got one extended finger coming out like this. Okay, so there we go. So all kind of using depth and dimension here. Next and finally, the legs. So he wears shorts. Those square pants are square shorts, actually. So want to kind of get that happening here. And really simplification, they've gone with straight legs. You know, we've gone through that side view and seeing all those angles and everything, but they choose to ignore them on this character. But we'll work on more complex characters as we go and see where we can add that. Or you can add it in your own characters as well. Okay, so here he's got socks that has a couple stripes on them. And then we get into the shoes. So we got a circle, which is actually a sphere. And then we have another sphere here. But at the end of that, we have a heel coming out on this shoe. And then that's dimensional. So this comes inside, and then this comes down and around, and that comes down like so. And then that comes into it. Same here. We have those two circles. We have that heel with dimension coming up inside. This comes down, and that comes around to the shoe here. Okay, so again, we're trying to get the feel, even though it's a two-dimensional drawing, we're trying to emulate a 3D perspective on this character. So now we'll go over with pencil. I'm going to start with the eyes here, and then work our way out. Again, when we're boxing and roughing things in, we kind of start looking at the general shapes. Don't get into detail. But now, when we're ready to use the lead pencil, then we can pick and work up our shapes here. And I'm going to work on these. Again, they're circles, kind of ellipse, but dimensionally, they are spheres. So if this was a 3D model of the character, it would be made with spheres, this part. I'm trying to keep this round. Anyway, not too bad. Nose coming up, overlapping that eye. So again, when we're working with dimension, this eye here is closer to us, this one's farther away, so it actually overlaps. So this one, it gives us some depth by this eye in front of this eye. You'll see that a lot in cartoon characters, that to help establish that three-quarter view. Here's that cheek, always thinking of that as a dimensional space. And actually, he's got some freckles or whatever on there. Top of the mouth comes out, so that upper lip comes here, comes around, and then that mouth comes down and open, quite large. We have the teeth, so even being careful of this line. I'm kind of tapering this way a little bit, just to reinforce that three-quarter shape, that tongue, and then the idea of a bit of a lip down here. Now, we can add a little shading in here, just to reinforce the idea that the mouth is open and there's actually a cavernous space inside the character, that when he opens it, there is a hole in the character where the mouth is. So we want to get that across as best we can. And now, we can kind of work on that sponge shape here. There we go. Again, we'll use a bit of shading just to indicate again. Then these are holes. These are holes inside the character. And then, very, very lightly, I'm going to put a little bit of cross-hatching here. Not cross-hatching, but lines to show some shading that this side is tapering away. So we have some depth. And again, we use the blue to kind of show structure and how things fit with each other. But with the lead pencil, we're picking out the lines that are final lines and what we want to see. So here we go, bring that arm down, bringing that hand. Again, there's that block for the back of the hand, and now we have the fingers coming down, got that palm, and then coming out into the thumb. So that's all working. Gonna get that kind of sponge shape here. Then we've got two lines. One, this top line here, on the character, this is like a white shirt. Below there is brown pants, his brown square pants, which is the name of the character, SpongeBob SquarePants. So now I'm doing the same here. I'm going to bring this line across. This is the shirt. and the collar on the shirt, and this very short tie here coming out. And then this line divides the shirt into the pants that are at the bottom. Now, unusual about this character, and again, you can kind of get away with things, cartoony characters, is the shoulder is white like the shirt, but it's above the shirt. It's kind of coming out of the side of the sponge. So, yeah, myself, I might have designed either that arm lower coming out of the shirt or bring the shirt up higher to make that connection. But in this case, they just ignored that and put the dimensions where they like. And, you know, that's the prerogative of the designer when you're doing a character. And the more cartoony, the more you can really play with proportions, which is what they've done here. I mean, it does have the elements that we've been looking at. It's got a head, body, but really simplified. You know, we have a shoulder, we have an arm, we have an elbow, like over here. We have the palm of the hand, the back of the hand, we have the fingers. We have all the elements we talked, well, not all of them. Some have creatively been decided, well, we'll just kind of hide all that in there, because the character doesn't really have a neck, but you can imagine somewhere above the collar, he just doesn't have a real articulated, smaller neck. You know, he is a sponge, and that sponge goes all the way through the top of the head to the bottom of the pelvis and the hips. Then the legs protrude out from that. And so, real simplification of those. But it's, you know, that awareness of what it is we have to work with, what reality is, and how we can play with that to make something extremely imaginative, and giving, in this case, an inanimate object human traits. So we kind of replicate or give some indication of those elements that make up a human character. And of course, it's the face, and we were talking about that. We've got the eyes, and they're big and they're round, very disproportionate from reality. He's got a very funny shaped nose, bulbous somewhat, or at least larger at the end, and then the large mouth. So there we're talking about expressions and things. And if you're familiar with the show, he has enormous expressions, and they have a lot of fun with it. Here, I'm putting these eyelashes in. Even though SpongeBob is male, they've given him these big lashes that really stand out. Again, design prerogative. Add what you think helps with the character, what doesn't. And now pants. So this continues from the bottom portion of this square. And pants, they're shorts. And out of there come the legs and socks, and that dimensional, that they're spheres, not just circles, and that really shows in the heel. And there's dimension. It's like a square that is tapering inside here and giving that some dimension structure, that he's standing on the ground, which is always a big trick. Doing a dimensional 3/4 view is the feet, getting them to look like they're standing on the ground and the character isn't just floating. There we go. We've got this coming around. Okay, so there we have it. Kind of has our the elements that we had to work with. So follow along this one. You know, great to block in with the blue. Try and find that square, that dimension, and even find the other proportions, and try and give some structure, depth, dimension, and figure out how that character works. Okay, so have fun with this one, and we'll be exploring a lot more from here on out, 3/4 views of characters.